So I want to make a video about the difference between 20th century learning for the industrial age, for giant bureaucracies, and 21st century learning for this new creative economy where you work based on projects and you're freelance and you can run your own business and be an entrepreneur and you can work from anywhere. So a totally different blueprint for how education should work now is necessary. And I'm a believer that our schools are 20th century learning, preparing people for 20th century jobs that don't exist in Western societies anymore in any large number. And even the traditional professions, law, medicine, accounting, there's a lot of competition in those areas. You know, there's a global talent pool being sucked into different key cities, and like it's highly competitive. And it means most of these professionals have crazy time poverty and, you know, end up staring at a spreadsheet half the time and documenting everything. So this is really about how education is changing and becoming more about creativity and more about training states of consciousness rather than just rote memorization and testing and just standardization, right? No one wants a standardized life. No one wants this like path that everyone else is on. It's boring, right? No creative person would want that, right? But we diminish the creative spirit of children and we turn them into these adults that, you know, are like Pavlovian and that they're hooked into all these triggers from authority figures and the media and all this stuff. So 21st century learning is about passion. You're only going to be good at something to keep learning, keep doing it, keep getting better if you're super passionate about it, right? If you're not, you know, you lose interest, right? Because life is overwhelming sometimes, right? And definitely an entrepreneurial or a creative path can be, and you really got to have that passion, that vision of your long term to really stick it out. But in school, passion's not important, right? Passion is for people that aren't serious, right? You know, you should just stick to the safe jobs, right? The traditional professions. And, you know, there's no doubt that in the parents' generation, the last generation, it made sense, right? People got rewarded handsomely for just serving the system as the system wanted. And it's not that way anymore, right? Stock markets aren't what they used to be, coronavirus, all this stuff now is creating a new social order that's moving big time toward 21st century learning and working. And I think that the 20th century ways are just going to die out. The bureaucracies are going to be cut, the universities are going to be cut beyond the research. Does everyone have to go to university when they don't even know why they're there, half the people, right? So we got to look at the world differently because we're not going to have the resources in the future to keep burning money up with like $1 trillion of student loans and all this stuff, right? People have to be motivated to learn by doing experiential learning on their own. And so 21st century learning is about play, meaningful, purposeful play, and figuring out what that is. So it's about flow, essentially. These states where you're fully immersed in what you're doing, that you lose your sense of yourself and time because you love what you do and you're passionate about it and you're developing mastery and you're serving people with it by sharing it, by getting it in front of people, by selling it, by telling a story of the crazy future you dreamed up in your imagination. This is 21st century stuff, right? The kind of pencil sharpening, pushing kind of spreadsheet stuff, like look what the spreadsheet culture of MBAs and stuff has got the world economy into, right? You know, this fake money economy that everyone thought they were rich and now everything can collapse in like that, right? Because it's not real wealth. And if it's built on, you know, a violation of natural law and long-term, you know, health of people and civilization just for this short-term gain, then it's like a narcotic. It's like a drug that leads to bad things, right? Because there's natural ways to get things and there's artificial ways to get things. And the artificial ways work in the short term, but in the long term, they create disaster, right? They create, you know, meltdowns and, you know, people that, you know, can't change for a new world. So I'm passionate about education, 21st century learning. So passion, mastery, purpose, what gets you into flow, designing your own education, getting clear on what you can do without having someone stand over you and tell you what to do, right? There's certain things we're intrinsically motivated to do, and there's certain things that we need to kind of be pushed to do, right? And you want to find accountability and mentorship to help you learn these different things. So it's not just something you do yourself on your own, but you got to seek that out now. And that's kind of like the new way of education. It's not for children anymore. It's for adults. It's for people of all ages. Because the world is changing so fast today and no one can predict the future. And the jobs in 10 years will be so different than jobs today. Like even 10 years ago, like so many jobs now, you're just like, whoa, like that did not even exist, you know, 10 years ago. And people can create their own jobs now. And that's really 21st century learning by doing, creating your own job, you know, getting clear on what you're passionate about. So I think this kind of learning is really the future. And in terms of philosophy, we need to balance East and West. Right? The kind of evidence-based scientific rationalism of the West and the kind of experience-based, you know, deep immersive internal experiences of the East, right? Meditation and, you know, creative problem solving using scientific methods. You combine those two things we're going to have a balanced civilization again, a global world maybe, where, we don't fight each other unnecessarily and we just work together, right? Across cultures, across borders, and we just collaborate and we share, and we don't like kind of get stuck in these ivory towers and houses on the hill thinking we're somehow better than other people because we have this fake wealth that's just numbers in a computer somewhere, right? But, we can extract it and all that stuff. But like, this extractive economy where we just extract value and resources and destroy, long-term futures of people and other animals and birds and stuff, it just makes no sense. And I think more and more people are waking up to that. And the kind of learning that's done in a factory is not going to prepare people for a post-factory world. So 21st century learning, what we need to do, teach our children, unlearning, unschooling, self-direction, lifelong learning, because the books are changing, right? Everything's changing, and it's going to keep changing. And we're really on the cusp of a paradigm shift where the ground is kind of coming out from underneath people's feet. And we got to navigate a future that doesn't have this set kind of template, set process. We got to kind of ride the waves, right? Mindfully getting into flow, riding the waves beyond our comfort zone, our anxieties, and accepting that if we're passionate and purpose-driven, that we can figure out solutions to these problems before it's too late, right? So that's 21st century learning. And this is a time for humans to step up because, right, if it's not now, like the future could be very dark, right? We could go into a dark age, we could go into a golden age. And I'm putting my bet on the golden age. So I hope you learned something today, and let me know below, like what gets you into flow, right? What do you do that's passion, purpose-directed, mastery-directed? What gets you these peak experiences that, define your life, that define your stories you tell other people? Or I'd love to just hear one thing that you love that gets you into flow. It's a way you learn, you create, you play. That's highly meaningful and impactful for you. All right, thanks for listening. And if you like this, like it, and please give me a comment. I really appreciate that. Okay, thank you. Have a great, beautiful day.